Coca-Cola, who helped sponsor the fireworks. You know, a lot of what we do, we wouldn't be able to do without the support of partners all across this parish. And as an example of that, we had some very exciting ribbon cuttings that you see here. The first one you see, Cox was obviously a partner there. The gentleman who's standing, I haven't changed it yet. Okay. The 2022, thank you, Cheryl. You see some of the 2022 ribbon cuttings that we celebrated last year. And each one of these ribbon cuttings, and we have more than you see here, but you see the first one is with Cox, as well as Langston Galloway, NBA player. We were able to resurface a court at Longfellow Park, right off of Plank Road, right behind Tony Seafood is where Longfellow Park is. Langston Galloway played basketball there as a kid and went on to play many years, continues to play in the NBA. So that was a partnership that, again, we were able to leverage your tax dollars to provide a better quality park there at that location. All the way up in the top right-hand, picture's kind of small, but that's us with Todd Graves celebrating Raising Cane's sponsorship contribution to remain our dog park sponsor. And so we have 6 dog parks. Raising Cane's is the title sponsor for each of those dog parks. Again, leveraging your tax dollars so that we can provide quality services. And so certainly thankful for Todd's contribution, a commitment of $300,000 over the next 10 years, which sort of works out to about $5,000 or $6,000 per dog park on an annual basis, but that goes towards the maintenance of those dog parks. Right below that top picture, you see another great partnership that we had. Again, if you hear this common theme about partnerships and leveraging your tax dollars, but you see us on a track there, and that is EBR Schools track. We were fortunate enough to partner with EBR Schools and provide the public access to a track for the first time in the 75-year history of BREC. There's certainly requests for us to build a public park, and that we may still consider doing that in the future. But when we have a school system who's willing to partner with us, and they have brand new facilities such as this track at Estruma, we're able to partner and say, hey, when the students aren't using it, can we make it accessible and available to the public? So again, great partnership there. And then the last one at the bottom, we were able to do about $3 million in renovations at Oak Villa baseball or softball complex. And you see Public Service Commissioner there, Craig Green, there in the light blue shirt, who also participated because Public Service Commission actually provides us funding to change out some of our old lights to LED lights. And they do that at no cost. It's a program we expect to continue to take advantage of as we look to improve the lighting at all of our parks. So 2022, just a quick snapshot of just 4 things that we celebrated last year. Going to the next slide, we just want to talk about transformational projects that are happening across the parish. First, we want to talk about what's happening at Greenwood and the Baton Rouge Zoo. We're excited, certainly before the end of this quarter, sometimes in March, we're hoping to have some exciting ribbon cuttings at the Greenwood Park as well as the Baton Rouge Zoo, as we have several new exhibits that will be opening at the Baton Rouge Zoo. Part of what you see in the picture to your left there is our underwater viewing for the pygmy hippo exhibit. And so you'll be able to stand here, and there'll be a big glass in front of you, and you'll see our pygmy hippos swimming. You know, hippos like to spend time in the water, so you'll get a chance to see them swimming with all sorts of colorful fish. There'll be colobus monkeys swinging above them. To the right, you see that sort of netting structure where birds will be flying as well, and so very immersive type exhibit that we're looking to celebrate with a ribbon cutting, hopefully sometime in March or April as we celebrate the zoo's 53rd birthday in April as part of Zippity Zoo Fest. Continuing at the zoo, just a couple of more pictures. There's the North American Aviary, where that's right next to the Pygmy Hippo exhibit. We're going to have a new elk and bison exhibit that's also should be opening later this year. What's not pictured is a new giraffe exhibit that we hope to open later this year as well, where the public will have an opportunity to buy a piece of lettuce and be able to feed the giraffes. So you'll be able to walk up on the platform and look at a giraffe eye to eye. That's a very exciting exhibit as we are able to put kids and adults. Some of you guys look excited about that exhibit as well. But certainly we encourage you to bring kids, your grandchildren, and from experience, because I participated in this in San Diego, bring your wallet too, because one piece of lettuce is never enough for a 5 or 6 year old kid. And so we're looking forward to celebrating that later this year as well. Just a couple more pictures of some exciting things happening at the zoo. One of the things that we're excited about, also we hope to open as early as March when the weather becomes a little nicer, is the renovations at J.S. Clark Golf Course. And so part of what we did in 2014, we had a study by the National Golf Foundation which talked about recommendations that we reduce the number of golf holes that we have in our system. And so we did reduce those numbers and by repurposing Howell Park, which was a golf course. And the whole idea with all of our assets is we want to serve as many people as possible. So when you have a golf course that's underperforming and maybe only serving 20, 30, 40 people that week, our thought was, let's repurpose that golf course and make it a community park. And so instead of 70 acres of a golf course, you now have 70 acres of a park that has basketball courts, expanded lake, has a community garden there that we partner with the Walls Foundation and Baton Rouge Roots to help provide a community garden there. And so that was a great example. And we're doing something similar at Dumas, which is an 18-hole golf course. Part of the reasons we wanted to do the J.S. Clark improvements in the first phase of what we're doing at the zoo is so that there's always an opportunity to play golf in this part of the parish. And so as we were doing these renovations, golfers were playing at Dumas, and once these renovations are complete, Dumas will be repurposed similar to what we did at Howell, which will allow us to serve more people. Uh-oh. I'll have to cheat on this one. Oh, that's just another exhibit. As we mentioned, one of the most exciting things, and again, this comes from public feedback, is that we are bringing the entrance to the zoo off of Highway 19. And so what you see here is the new road and the new turnaround, which you will come off of Highway 19 and you will hit this roundabout, and then you can make a decision to go right to the zoo, or you can go around the roundabout and go left to the park. And so, and that was direct feedback we received from the community, as a lot of folks going down Thomas Road to go to the zoo didn't realize we had a park right next to the zoo. and vice versa. Those who were going to the park off of Highway 19 didn't know the zoo was right there at Thomas Road Park, so right off of Thomas Road. So to be able to bring those two great assets together, our hope is one day you'll go to the zoo and spend the day at the zoo, and when you're coming back to your car, you'll realize there's a beautiful playground, and you'll say next week we need to come back and go to the playground, and vice versa. So we're excited about all of those things that are happening in 2023. That new entrance and new building, we hope to be complete about a year from now in 2024. So we're excited about that project. Okay. I wanted to get to this slide, which talks about we report to our commission on a monthly basis activity, and this is this December 22 monthly report, which obviously shows the activity for the entire year. It shows the month, but it also shows the year to date. And if you see the number at the bottom, almost 1.3 million, just a little over 1.2 million people served. And these are just people we're counting that we can count, that are coming through our recreation centers, that are coming to the zoo, that are playing golf. What we're still working on, and I hope to have a definitive answer for you on later this year, is how we go about counting people who are just out in the park, walking their dogs, picnics, playing football, tossing the ball with their kids. We're working with our IT department and several other departments to be able to capture that. Again, that won't be an exact number, but there'll be a lot of estimates that are involved in that. But I would imagine the people who are outside using our parks probably is 2 or 3 times this number. So if you imagine just 1.2 million that are coming through the gate, how many more we are serving that are out just walking the trails? And so we have trail counters, we have cameras with different being able to recognize people and being able to count people that way, cell phone data. So there are various ways that we can count people. One of the things I like about this slide, though, if you take a moment to look at it, you see almost 70% of the people we serve are people who are coming to our recreation centers. So we have 59 recreation centers around the parish. Also this includes the Magnolia Mounds, the Far Park Equestrian, Bluebonnet Swamp. Those are facilities as well. And it shows that almost 70%. So the core of what we do, we certainly look at golf, 164,000. That's a record number a record number of rounds in terms of the people who played last year. Again, that's validation of the work that we're doing, because when we repurpose or we lowered the number of holes we have available to the public, but we're still setting record number of rounds played, that shows that we're doing the right thing there with your tax dollars. The zoo's number, 187,000, you can see that's almost 14% lower than 2021. But based on all the things that are happening at the zoo, we certainly anticipate that number getting higher. But you see both the zoo and the golf are right around 15%. And so the core of what we do is providing safe places for kids to go after school. And that's what those recreation numbers show. And it's not just about kids. I mean, we have seniors in there that are participating in some of our exercise programs. That includes summer camp numbers, kids who are participating in our summer camps. But the bulk of our activities are providing safe places for our kids to participate in, and for adults with kids to have a place for their kids to participate in as well. The next slide. Okay. I can't see what the next slide is. Oh, imagine your parks. And so look, in 2004 was a big year for us. That's when there was the Imagine Your Talk tax program. We went from 11 millages. We added an addition, I say we, I mean everybody in this room who voted for us, added 3 more millages in 2004. So up until 2004, we were at 11 millages. We added the new Imagine Your Parks tax in 2004, which brings us to where we are now, about 14.4 millages. The statute that created us actually allows us to go up to 18 millages, but you do not have to worry about that. We will not be bringing any new taxes. I did learn that as a lesson in my early years. We will not be bringing any new taxes here, but we want to talk about what those taxes helped us do, not only in 2004, but again in 2014, we have our every 10-year reoccurring tax. And these were some of the things that we were able to accomplish. You know, we like to say around the office now that you imagined and then we brought home gold. And so, you know, part of what we got from that Imagine Your Parks tax was these 12 large community parks: Highland Road, North Sherwood, Anna T. Jordan, City Park, Perkins Extreme Park, Liberty Lagoon, that new water park, which brings in people from all across the state. You know, we did that Gulf study in 2014, and the #1 request continues to be bike trails and connections. You know, it's unfortunate that it doesn't seem like we can go a week without hearing about a pedestrian being killed. And part of the reason we have a bike and pedestrian master plan for the entire parish is because it was funded with federal dollars, because we are one of the leaders in terms of pedestrian and vehicular accidents. And so we're working hard to build a lot of safe trails, not only within our parks, but that are able to connect different parks and different areas. You know, it's not always about health and wellness when we talk about trails, but sometimes it's just a safe place for people to be able to get to the grocery store or the cleaners or even daycare or something like that without trying to traverse dangerous streets. Other exciting things we got from that tax that you guys helped us pass was the dog parks. We talked about Perkins Extreme Park, Frenchtown Road Conservation Area, which is another exciting project we plan to open this year. Additional air conditioning at our recreation centers. The Lakes Project, we were able to provide $5 million to a project that's going to be well over $50 million when we talk about all the improvements to the lake. You know, as we talk about all of these things, I would be remiss, as we are probably still under some sort of flash flood warning based on the rain from last year, to talk about the project at the lakes, which is dredging those lakes, and so they'll go from, you know, 6 inches deep, which there probably are now, to more like 6 feet deep. And you can do the math on that. Even if you aren't good in math, you know that we'll be able to hold more water at those lakes. And so that's less water in businesses and neighborhoods. We're doing the same thing at Greenwood. Part of the repurposing of Greenwood Park is expanding that lake so that lake holds more water out there. Again, reducing the flood risk for the surrounding community. And so we talk about Greenwood up north, the lakes in the middle of the parish, and then we have Airline Highway Community Park, which held more water than any park we had in 2016. And we're actually designing that park to hold even more water, as it will be our 13th community park. And we plan to open that, start the construction on that sometime this year. The next slide just gives you a quick snapshot of some then and now pictures. This is North Sherwood Park, North Sherwood Forest Community Park. You'll be seeing a lot more of this in 2023, pictures of what the parks look like back in 2004 and now what they look like as a result of, again, the work that we've done, but the support and approval of the tax from the community. The next slide, I believe, have some additional pictures. This is Jefferson Highway Park. If you haven't been there to see the renovations, I encourage you to take a look at Jefferson Park. Some great then and now pictures. And just to talk about 2023, and then I'll open it up to questions. We have three major initiatives. As I talked about, the last capital improvement plan was 2014. That tax expires in 2024. And so what we are doing this year, which the board approved the hiring of a consultant last Thursday at our board meeting, is our strategic plan for the next 10 years. And so we'll be having a lot of community meetings, online surveys to hear from you about what do you want to do with your tax dollars for the next 10 years. That's a big part of what we'll be doing in 2023. Also, you see the small business. The board a couple years ago approved the Small Business Opportunity Program. Just a couple weeks ago, we had a doing business with BREC sort of seminar for small, local, minority vendors, and we had over 162 people at our 162 vendors that were represented at that forum to talk to staff about upcoming projects that we have. Again, the more people we can get to submit bids, the more competitive it is. Ultimately, the less money we spend for that. And so we want to make sure everybody is able to participate in bids and procurement with BREC. Another thing that we are excited about is our employee engagement policy. You know, after Senate Bill 205 in 2001, one of the things we worked on a lot last year was this community engagement policy, which will allow us to be even more engaged with the public. You know, I talk about part of the reason we're able to win the gold medal is because we are currently very engaged with the public. But now we're taking that even to a higher level, as our ultimate plan is for every park to sort of have a Friends of the Park that will be able to not only provide us input about what's happening, but also be able to disseminate information that we share to those surrounding communities to make that communication and that partnership with the community even better. And so we are excited about that. And last but not least, we just have a slide that shows you what's coming up this month at BREC. In February, we have some exciting things, including a Mardi Gras mask painting at Independence Community Park, some new programs, Glow in the Park. We'll be playing kickball at night at Baker Park. It's a pretty exciting event as well, too. But I know we all want to get out of here at 1 o'clock, and so we'll open it up to questions now. Thank you. One question. Oh, we'll go here.
So you said the 2014 tax expires in 2024. I'm sorry, did you say, would y'all expect to want to renew that 2014 portion of the tax for 2024 going forward?
Yes, and so both the 2004 tax as well as the 2014 tax. The 2004 tax was a new tax. The 2014 tax, I'd have to go back to see how long that's been on the board, but that's probably since the 70s, I would imagine. We can confirm that, but that tax has consistently been renewed every 10 years, primarily with years that end in 4. And so we would be scheduled to look at renewing both of those taxes or some form of that. We're still having discussions with the board about how we want to move forward with both of those taxes that both expire in 2024.
You did touch on this a little bit in your speech, but just to ask you directly, how would you explain BREC's impact in terms of economic development, benefits and BREC brings for economic development to the parish? Like, how do you quantify that or explain it?
Yeah, so one of the benefits we always tout as it pertains to parks and recreation, and so, we talk about health and wellness, which is obvious, conservation, environmental, which is not always obvious, but in our community, hopefully it's obvious how we benefit there. But one of the things we talk about from an economic impact, and you don't have to do any extensive studies on this, but a well-maintained park increases the property values, for one. You don't have to look any further than a golf course to see that, whether that's Beaver Creek or Santa Maria, because those golf courses are maintained on a daily basis, grass is cut every day, those property values are higher than a park that's cut once every 7 weeks. Also from an economic standpoint, whether it's the zoo bringing in tourism or whether it's the 2023 regional soccer tournament that we will be hosting in June at Burbank, where we have over 220 soccer teams from all across the country coming in town. And if you can do the quick math on that, 200 teams, about 11 players per team, 2 parents per player, maybe grandparents. And so for a week, we will have thousands of people here going to Walmart, eating at Piran's, and doing all sorts of other things. When we had it in 2019, it was a $20 million impact, economic impact. We expect to be closer to $25 million this year as we have more teams that will be participating. So that's just a quick couple examples of the economic impact that Parks and Recreation brings to our community. Yes.
The 2014 National Golf Foundation recommendations that you referenced.
Yes.
Noted that City Park Golf was a sort of unpolished gem.
Yes.
And recommended a number of changes. You told Jimmy Inkster recently that $4 would be allocated to City Park.
I'm not quite sure if that was my quote, but I'm on.
So in the context of talking about golf.
Yes.
Specific.
Mm-hmm.
So will those dollars go toward golf or some other purpose?
Which dollars?
Any new dollars allocated to City Park?
Yeah. So part of our strategic plan for the next year. So when we did the strategic plan in 2014, that plan sort of laid out these are the improvements that you can fund over the next 10 years at that point it was 7 golf courses. And so when we do the plan this year, likewise, we should have an outline of this is how much of the taxes for the next 10 years that will go to each golf course. And to your point, in the 2014 study, there were specific things that were recommended that we can look at City Park. And one of those was some sort of food and beverage at City Park. And so we are bringing in the original designer of that Baton Rouge gallery that used to be the golf clubhouse and still is the golf clubhouse. Looking at the old pool house that was there and potentially making some improvements there to where we can potentially serve food and beverage. So there are still some outstanding recommendations from 2014 that we need to put in place, but there will be some new recommendations as well in regards to the 2023 plan that we're working on now, and there will be specific dollars outlined for each golf course. City Park, by the way, is doing very well. One of the projects that we're working on, and this happens all the time, we're talking about all the improvements at J.S. Clark, and one of the things at J.S. Clark that we're excited about is all the golf paths will be concrete. And so, as you can imagine, my phone started ringing from the folks that live in City Park that say, hey, we would like all of our paths to be concrete as well, too. So we're committed to doing that this year, in fact, making those improvements to City Park. And so excited about that. I think my time's running out. They're trying to cut the mic on me. And so, yeah, that's happening at City Park. But City Park is, I know last year, but also maybe this year, brought in more revenue than the expenses. And that's what we want to see for all of our golf courses. Maybe not J.S. Clark, but because we'll still have some youth programs there. But Santa Maria, Beaver Creek are all operating at 100% cost recovery. City Park for the last 2 years also operating at 100% cost recovery. That allows us to not only improve the golf courses, but support other programs that we have around the parish. Got a question up front?
Well, golf course, will there be any improvements on that course? I know they put in a practice green last year, but are they planning on doing any new stuff to the property?
Yeah, I know last couple of years we put in a, not a driving range, but we put a little practice area where golfers can hit into the net before going out on the golf course. We also have a short game practice area there where you can practice your short game at Webb. There are additional improvements. You know, Webble Beach, as it's known, has had some improvements over the last couple of years. But also, you know, as part of this 2023, 2024 plan, which will be for the next 10 years, part of that includes an inventory and an assessment of every property that we own with recommendations on how to improve those properties. And so the golf courses, and in 2014, we carved out the golf courses, so the primary consultant didn't do that. That's how we had to bring in the National Golf Foundation. And so it's probably about time to bring the National Golf Foundation back in to give us some more recommendations about what we can do at Webb. You have any recommendations? I know Coleman has some.
Well, two questions really. At City Park Lakes and University Lakes, aren't you going to be reducing the area of the lake, the physical area, by taking the dirt out of the bottom and putting it on the sides? And won't that be a net, maybe even be negative in your calculations, about 25%? But then also on this golf course thing, years ago, it's been several years since I've been to Audubon Park in New Orleans, but their landscaping with azaleas and things like that could be a welcome relief at Webb and City Park.
Okay.
Do a little more landscaping over there.
Okay. We appreciate that. And in terms of the dredging work that's going on at not only City Park Lake, but all of the lakes at the University Lake system, some of the spoils from the dredging will be used to sort of build the shorelines out. Some of that is so we can have safer walking trails as opposed to the way it is now. People are sort of competing with cars walking around the lakes. So there will be some of that, but we can give you the specifics. There will not be a reduction. Part of the reason we're able to do it and get money from the state and the Office of Community Development, those sort of things, as well as BREC, City Parish, LSU, is because we were committed to making sure that the flood capacity increases and that the flood risk is reduced around that area. Not only that area, but the Brooks area and McKinley and those areas as well, too. So there will be a net positive there, and I can get you the specifics on that.
We're going to have to conclude now.
Uh-oh.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'll hang around for those who still had a couple questions.
Thank you.
Oh,